Hey guys, I'm here today with Kirsten, and I'm just going to ask her some questions, and she's going to tell us about her OP experience and how she's going with it all. How you doing, Kirsten?
Hi, I'm good, thanks, Jason.
So let's start at the very beginning. How did this all start for you?
So I was 32 and I had done a lot of yoga and was quite flexible but didn't have that much strength. And then I got pregnant with my first child and got SPD, pubic symphysis disorder,
Yeah.
and had that waddle gait that you get. Had my baby, was starting to get better and got pregnant really quickly with my second child, and then got the SPD again, and then just most people get better after their birth, but for some reason for me it just kept going.
Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know what SPD is, it means Symphsis Pubis Dysfunction, which basically just means that a lot of people who are pregnant will get this pain right around their pubic area, and it's usually attributed to the extra pressure of being pregnant, and that pressure puts on the pubic symphysis. A lot of that pain is similar to anyone who's got OP and gets a pubic bone kind of pain as well, and they're often very interrelated. People who have SPD often can develop OP post-pregnancy. So, okay, so you had it during pregnancy and it didn't go away. So how old are you at this point after you've had your second?
So I was 34 when I had my second, and then I was really busy with two kids under 2 for a few years, and just had a lot of lower back pain, sort of SPD type pain continued, but just ignored it for a few years, just assuming it would go away, and then sort of in my 30s kept going and it didn't go away. So I started seeing a lot of different professionals to try and get on top of it.
Okay, so take us through a bit of that. Where were your kind of point of calls? Did you try osteos, physios? What did you do?
Yeah, I tried everything. So, and I think a lot of people with this do. So I saw a chiro, osteo, physio, Feldenkrais. I did a lot of classes and various activities which didn't help, such as walking, aerobics, boxing. I tried everything. So it just kind of got worse.
So at this point, just to paint a picture, what kind of activities could and couldn't you do at this point in time?
So I realised that I couldn't do yoga anymore. It was exacerbating it. And so I stopped doing that. I actually couldn't do anything after a while. I realised even walking was not very good anymore. So basically everything, even things that you would think such as walking were gentle and couldn't be a problem, became a problem.
Okay, and how bad, like, when the pain was at its worst, how bad was it? Like, was it debilitating? Was it bringing you to tears, or was it just like an annoyance?
So I know for some people it is like that. For me, I was lucky in the sense that even though it was constant and would flare up and calm down to some extent, it would never completely go. But it was never terrible. Occasionally I'd take painkillers, occasionally it would keep me up at night. Some nights became quite difficult, such as when you're pregnant and you try and roll over, I'd get that pain again. But it never stopped me working or anything like that. So.
Okay, awesome. And so of all the people you had seen, physios, the chiros and all that, how did you find that experience, kind of just in terms of their approach and how they went about it? Kind of what was that like for you?
So I found there was a lot of sort of confusion around OP. Not really anyone understood it that I saw. They hadn't seen many cases of it. It just seemed like a bit of a gap in these practitioners' knowledge. So even people who specialised in the pelvis, such as the physio I saw, didn't really get it. So it was frustrating, and it was frustrating. Yeah.
Okay, so how old are you at this point after you've kind of gone to the boxing class and the physio and the chiro and all this?
It's crazily 10 years later. It's 10 years since I got pregnant with my first child. So I'm 42 and it's been a 10-year journey, so quite a long time.
That's insane when you think about it. It must be strange, like kind of like walking with a limp and then all of a sudden the limp's gone. Like.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. It's been really good to find someone who understands OP and to have strategies that I can actually use that actually work. So
I'd never really appreciated the breadth of time that you'd been dealing with it for, kind of thing. You get like so focused on like, what's your body doing right now? I didn't really appreciate how long you'd had it for, and really wasn't very present in my mind until you're kind of saying it now. It's like 10 years is a really long period of time.
It is. It's a really long time, and I think people who have it, there'll be times when I'd go, okay, I'm just going to live with it. I'm not going to find anyone who gets this. It'll just be an issue in my life. There's nothing I can do. So I think that's what happens when you have something for so long.
Yes, that's not fun. Okay, so you're on the internet, you must be Googling, I assume, and you come across my absolute mess of a website.
Yes. I actually was on a forum, and someone who saw you, a man who saw you who had soccer, had posted up a little video that he had done that you had talked through. I can't remember his name, but he posted up a video that you had corrected with little lines and just said, you've got to see this guy. So I thought, great, there's someone I didn't know about who actually specialises who I can Skype.
I did not know that either. Was he didn't happen to be Romanian, did he?
I don't think so. I think he might have been Australian, but no, maybe he wasn't because he Skyped you. So.
Or like a lot of Skype like yourself in Melbourne. That's so interesting. I did not know that either. I would love to know who that is. I really need to thank them.
I can find out.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Okay, so did you end up getting onto the website, or did you just see the? And was it just a video of me reviewing someone's exercises?
Yeah, basically he posted a little thing of him. I think it was a deadlift, and he just wrote a glowing review and said, see this guy? And he said he was 100% better and was playing soccer. So I think it was soccer, some sport. So I'll find out who it was.
Oh, God, I'm so touched.
So there you go, all this stuff on the web that you don't know about.
Okay, all right. Okay, so you read that, you get in contact with me, and then we start doing some sessions. What was your initial impression? What was your kind of so we have a first session, and in my first session I just dump information on people, just about OP and everything and what needs to be done to get better. What's kind of your initial reaction? You go through all this and what?
So I'm skeptical, very skeptical. I've seen a lot of people at this point, and had this problem for a while, and it was good to find someone though who seemed to understand it and who seemed to have their head around it, and it was really useful and important to me to know that you had your own experiences with back pain, and we talked about that, and it made me understand that you had a reference point that you came from, which most practitioners don't have. Even though it was a different kind of problem, it was still a problem that you had to work to overcome. So that was really encouraging for me to hear. And though I was skeptical, I was willing to give everything a go. So
it's funny, it's interesting that concept and idea when you break a bone, or even if you tear a ligament, right? It's such a straight kind of recovery process. You do this at this week, you do this at this week, you take the moon boot off, you start walking. It's this linear process of waiting for a muscle to repair or a ligament to repair. And chronic pain is just the exact opposite. It's like this muddy water, and sometimes you're walking through it and it's like, oh, okay, cool, it gets a bit solid again. And then all of a sudden you're back in the swamp and you're dragging your body through, and it's more important than anything is just the will to keep going, even if you don't actually know if you're 100% doing something perfect. It's I've just got to keep doing this until I figure it out. If I keep going, it will kind of come, an answer will come.
Yes, and I think so, and I think that having someone like you that I was held accountable for with sending videos and just checking in with every week or 2 weeks was really helpful for that, because you can't really give up when there's someone expecting something from you. So that was actually really, it was good to be accountable for that reason. Yeah.
Okay, so I've got you, and I'm getting you to lift weights, and I'm okay, you got to lift more weight. What was your first thought?
I was really unhappy. I think you could probably tell. I was very unhappy about the whole thing. I was very anxious. I was very skeptical, and if I had not seen these reviews of you online, I probably might not have done it, because it just seemed counterintuitive to me, and it just seemed it was also something very different. So that was a good thing, because it was okay, here's something no one suggested before, maybe it'll work. So there was part of me saying that, but there was another more immediate part that was very anxious, as I think you would remember.
So to kind of put things in perspective, especially if you haven't had a gym background before, right, and you hadn't really done a lot of gym work and things like that. No. So you're going from a universe where you've never lifted weights before when you were healthy, to a universe where it's okay, I'm unhealthy, my pelvis doesn't feel very stable, I have this pain, and oh, let's lift something that, you know, weighs half my body weight, and let's lift it off the ground, and this is somehow, in some strange way, going to make me feel better. Take us through kind of like, not so much the whole thing, but like rep after rep, as you started to lift things and you kind of felt your body kind of change a little bit as you did that. Like, take us through like your thought process as that was happening.
So the first thing I'm thinking of is that even if I hadn't got better, the fact that I could lift it and it didn't destroy me was very encouraging, because it showed me what I could do even if I did have the problem. So I think that was good, because I think OP can become very limiting. A lot of people try all these different things and then you stop doing things, stop moving, just stop any kind of movement. So to know that I could actually do that was great. And then as I got the confidence that it wasn't destroying me, I kept doing it, and I'd have periods where I'd feel really good just after a session, or for a few weeks after a session, with the exercises. So yeah.
Was there a moment for you where you were just like ready to just drop your bundle, where you were just like, this is too hard, I can't do it, I can't figure this out, and I'm just
I think there's always those moments, but I think again, I'm kind of good with accountability. So knowing that you were there and that you were quite invested with all your emails and videos that you reviewed, I think I would have felt bad for you if I'd done that. So I think that stopped me doing that. But definitely, there are times when you feel frustrated.
Well, it's funny like that, because I guess the reason I asked that question is to really give people the impression that it's like there's nothing easy about chronic pain, right? Like, if it was easy, you'd already be better. Someone else, something else would have already fixed you. You wouldn't have to go to such lengths to deal with it. But even though it's not easy, you can do it. It's just like, you just got to be willing to deal with the mud, right? And just like the awful moments that can kind of happen, and you'll find that less and less of them happen, and you get more and more confident, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the psychological angle, which is really complex, and I think that you understand as someone who's experienced it and treated a lot of people with it. It's that mindset, or the way you think about it, which is just as important.
Yeah, just that OP is horrible.
Yeah, it is. And I guess the other thing is you can't really talk to people about it, because it's just, first of all, people don't get it, and it's slightly humiliating. It's not like a torn rotator cuff or something, pubic symphysis problems. So it's difficult to talk to people about it because of that, but also because, pain is not something that's an easy discussion to have. You can only have it once. You can't just keep sort of mentioning this point. So
well, and the thing I found really hard with my own back pain, and I think, is that there's one thing, there's the pain, right? And there's this real thing in society, especially if you're a guy, which is like, suck it up and keep going kind of thing. Which for me wasn't the pain was horrible, but it wasn't that bad. I could have dealt with the pain. It was the second guessing myself of, should I do that? No, I can't do that. Oh no, I can't do that. Or should I do that? Should I be lifting weights? Should I not be lifting weights? Like the walking into a restaurant and being like, oh God, those seats are going to hurt my back kind of thing. Yeah. It wasn't the pain. I could deal with the pain. It was the constant unknowing if I was doing the right thing, and this constant debilitating feeling like I'm just getting weaker and weaker, and this is just getting more and worse, and there is nothing I seem to be able to do to stem this. That to me was way more jarring and way worse than any of the pain. And it was kind of like, that's something I'm always well, if you can move, well then you can get better, right? Like, at least it's not taking things away from you. If you can add things back, well then slowly you can pull yourself back up the hill, right? But it's the minute you start having to take things out, that's when pain started to beat you, because it's stopping you from actually getting better. Which was always my experience with back pain. The minute I started doing stuff was the minute I really started to get over it. Yeah,
I think you explained that well, and I think as a guy, I can imagine that would have extra sort of elements to it as well.
Yeah, it's so horrible being a man, isn't it? So I think you're in a really interesting process now where you're kind of challenging your body to kind of do more things, and you're looking to start running again and stuff like that you might not have done, even, were you running a lot before you were pregnant?
I've never really been a runner, but I never had any problems with, if I did run, it would be fine. So I did a lot of yoga, walking, cycling.
I think, you're in a really interesting place now where you're trying to challenging your body to kind of do more and more things. How are you finding that process?
Good. It's very exciting to have options, to look at a timetable with classes and think I can do that. Yeah, it's fun. So running is the big thing that I want to do next. I've got my 2 kids are very athletic and they do the 5K run, park run on Saturdays. So I do the 5K, well, 2.5K walk. I do 5K, but it takes too long. So I'd love to do that with them. So that's sort of what I'm aiming for. But I'm back doing yoga, walking. I do run for 100 meters occasionally.
You got to start somewhere, right?
Okay.
All right, so last question. If someone was thinking about kind of going through this with this strange person on the other side of the world, what would you want to say to them?
Well, I would say, and I'm sure you find many other areas on the net, was that Jason's awesome. I would highly recommend him. He understands OP. He understands chronic pain. He's really, good to talk to. Really easy to talk to. Not scary. Very encouraging. Very available with questions and issues. I'd say you've got nothing to lose, really. Just jump in and believe that change can occur.
Yeah. Thanks, Kirsten, and thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
You're welcome. Thank you, Jason. Thanks.
Cool.